mercenary, assassin, and all-around hoodlum Ardana Sul delivers on the impossible and recovers a weaponized plague for Baroness Francesca. While he can guess the plans of the Baroness to infect, quarantine, and capture rival city-states to expand her own domain, he doesn't much care. He does care, however, when she tries to have him murdered instead of paying him. Ardana barely survives but loses his memory in the process. Near death, he is pulled from the river and nursed back to health by a fisherman widower and his son. While recovering physically, he becomes aware that his reflexes and instincts are decidedly lethal and selfish, and questions about the sort of man he was begin to haunt him. When assassins from the Baroness locate him, Ardana is forced to rely on old skills to save his life and, perhaps for the first time, the lives of others. Convinced Baroness Francesca will never give up searching for him, since he's the only one who knows about the plague she intends to cause, Ardana decides the best defense is to go on the offense, by finding some of his old contacts, infiltrating the palace of the Baroness, and putting an end to her schemes with righteous blades and ruthless vengeance. Previously, I have reviewed a book by independent author Eric Lewis and had a good time of it. I recommend checking out his website and YouTube page so you can see about his various writing projects and video game playthroughs. I'll have links in the description to help you out. You can also take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel of another YouTube creator you enjoy, like Eric Lewis, or the algorithm will throw them through a stained glass window. It's accurate to describe this book as a kind of heist story that takes place in a Flintlock Fantasy setting. Magic and alchemy are at the margins of the story as these roguish characters navigate circumstances and locations inspired by Renaissance Italy. The elements of the novel are more in line with crime and noir novels, following a crew of talented scoundrels of dubious loyalty, especially in the back two-thirds of the novel. The pulling together of a team to take down the Baroness for revenge and profit makes up the bulk of the story, and is a source of a good deal of the tension. There is a lot of action and conflict as the characters move toward their goal, encounter a variety of obstacles, and often clash because they have differing ideas on how to best achieve their ends. As many of you know, I'm cautious of the Amnesiac protagonist, but it works out well enough here because it isn't the focus of the narrative. I was pleasantly surprised when Ardana recovers most of his memories well before the midpoint of the story, and the internal tension for him becomes about whether or not he wants to be the sort of man he was. The internal movement of the story for Ardana is something like a redemption arc. I don't fully buy into his development of a moral compass, but it is an interesting wrinkle throughout the second and third acts of the novel. For instance, Ardana wants to be a better man, yet he commits himself to killing the Baroness. The most basic question of the novel might be whether or not redemption is even possible. Fortunately, there is little sermonizing or moral hand-wringing to impede the story. The book gathers steam and moves right along. There is almost a pulp sensibility to keeping everything in motion. The same goes for what people call world building. It never gets in the way of the story, and the reader always knows enough to keep on going. I'd say Lewis has a pragmatic approach to the plot and goals of the characters. The same can be said for his prose style. It gets the job done and keeps the story in motion without being overly descriptive or explanatory. Again, there is that streamlined, pulpy storytelling style that helps carry along the novel. If anything, I think it could possibly be pared back for an even tighter, more breathless story, but that's my personal bias. What we get is good and effective for telling the tale. I think While We Bleed should appeal to a broad range of readers, especially those looking for an offbeat fantasy or crime novel. As I said, if you like fast-paced, fantastical pulp stories, you'll find something to enjoy here. The same is true if you're a fan of Joe Abercrombie's Age of Madness trilogy. While the style and pacing are different, the setting and some of the action sequences are reminiscent of A Brightness Long Ago by Guy Gavriel Kay. The game Dishonored is also a clear inspiration for some of the elements and aesthetics of the book, so fans of the game may be interested in picking up a copy of this too. But what do you, the audience at home, think? Are you familiar with While We Bleed or other books by Eric Lewis? Does it sound weird and propulsive enough to catch your interest? Feel free to share your thoughts in the comments. Thank you for taking the time to listen to my peculiar notions. If you appreciate this channel and want to support it, you know what to do. Until next time, read some good books by independent authors. Live and be well.